So we've got our exhaust adapter made, and that's pretty much just that bit there. Just TIG welded it straight on the old flexi V-band. You buy that piece there with the pyro bung already welded into it from Southpack, and then I just put a little wedge down the bottom in here because it was just not quite lining up the way I would like it, because obviously the turbo on the EGR hangs out a bit wider, so that just redirects it across a little bit. It's quite important to have these things. You really want to have them set up so there's not really any tension on them on the flexi, because if there's any tension on the flexi pulling it one way, if it doesn't quite line up, they tend to prematurely rip the internals of the flexi after a while. So you're better off to sort of set it up so there's no tension on it. It sort of sits neutral and there's no pulling to one way, and then they'll last a heap longer. Right, I've got the exhaust done. That's back on. We've put some chrome paint on that so it looks nice. Everyone knows that horsepower doesn't come from turbos or big injectors. It comes from chrome paint. So that's the exhaust finished. Now we're going to start sorting out this intake. I might need to move that one there a little bit, that this sort of pedestal here slightly, because it's not quite in the right spot. So we'll have a look at that. Also, that shift cable there shouldn't be like that. So we will unpick that shift cable out and route it where it should be over there. Right, we're just starting to set up this intake piping. So I've got this mounted back on the factory mount where it was, and I've managed to find a right angle boot. Just come off another intake, which is 6 inch to 6 inch. The old one was 6 inch to 5 inch, so that was going to be no good. And this boot's got a slightly longer angle on it too. This is the old one. It's quite a sharp turn, and that's quite a longer turn, which is going to be a little bit easier to work with, because we need it to come towards the front of the motor a little bit anyway, to give us a little bit more room to bring this bend in. So here's the bend here, so that'll slot into there, and it'll go into that end there, and it just needs about that much welded on the end again, because it just sits about flush how it wants to. So we'll trim it off probably there, and then add about a 3.5 inch section in, TIG weld that in, and that'll all line up, and then that's the intake done. Easy as. Right, so we've got our old intake pipe. We've got another piece of aluminium we've cut here, same size. So what the plan is to cut down on welding is we're going to nip it off right on that little lip right there, and then we're going to weld that one on straight on the end, and then we'll roll a new lip on this one out here. So that'll only mean we need to do one weld rather than cutting that off there and adding that in and then welding that back on the end. And then we've got a set of swaging dies here which will run our swager, and that'll roll that lip on the end of here. Right, so we've rolled our swaged edge in our pipe, so we're ready to clean it all up, get all the rubbish off it, and then TIG weld it on to the end of there. Right, we got the new pipe finished. We've welded the extension lip on the end, so we did that here. Oh, I hate welding old aluminium, but it's okay. And we'll chuck that on, and she should fit nice. Yeah, cool. So that's the intake in place with a new extension welded on the end. Yeah, pretty happy with that, how that came out. And I think that what we'll probably do is, once the air filters are in place, there'll be a little bit of tweaking going on. I'm just not quite happy with how that sits. It'll be fine like it is, but I just like to tweak it a little bit and adjust that up a little bit to get that a little bit more square. It's not quite 90 degrees, so I'll just tidy that up once, but I can't really do any of that until the air cleaners are on, and then I'll probably undo all these clamps and then just reset everything nice how I want it. I've just put a block under there to hold that up, sort of about where it sits. So once the air cleaners are in, I'll relieve all the clamps and then just tweak everything how I want it, just to sit nice and square so it looks good and straight and not pulling on a funny angle, and everything sits nice, and then do all the clamps up and it should be mint.